From various locations via the miracle of Skype, it's the 40th anniversary season of the LTN Hour. Let's talk NASCAR with your host, Todd Bailing, co-hosts Brian Schmidt, PJ Noodleman, and producer Dangerous Dan Margetta. Call the show anytime at 414-421-7901. And now, the creator and host of the fastest hour in radio, Todd Bailing.
Welcome to the program. Las Vegas this week. I've seen it called the most important race of the second most important race on the schedule. Really? I guess we're going to make it. We're going to make it as important as we can. It's always fun going to Las Vegas. Dan Margetta, aren't you usually in Las Vegas? What the hell are you doing here?
I should have been there this year. I really should have. I'm not, though. I'm stuck here in Wisconsin. I'll be in Phoenix in a couple weeks, and we're not going to do this again. We're not going to miss it for another year. It's too much fun to be out there. We'll be out there next year.
Yeah, it's fun if you got enough money, that's for sure. Brian Schmidt of Oostburg, Wisconsin, standing by with us. Hi, Brian.
Morning. Yeah, this is an important race. If you look back at since we've gone to Phoenix, I believe like 2 out of the last 3 champions have won this race. Larson and Logano have won this race. You get almost like a 2-week break to concentrate on Phoenix, and then you go to Phoenix with your best piece. So if you win this race, it's almost like in stick and ball sports, it's almost like getting the bye, which is what a lot of people are looking for.
And, of course, PJ Noodleman of Trempealeau, Wisconsin, who, by the way, not only is our fourth wheel on this finely tuned automobile, but will also be joining the rest of us in Phoenix for that final race. It'll be fun, won't it?
I'm excited to go back again, yeah. And excited for Vegas. I have Elvis, Viva Las Vegas, going through my head right now.
Yeah, well, Matt usually plays it, but I didn't ask him to, so, there's so much going. My God, it isn't about racing anymore. We're going to talk about lawsuits and proprietary information stealing and accusations and hints and allegations. They should write a song about this, the way it works. There's so much going on in the world of NASCAR right now. It's amazing. I suppose we could mention that Christopher Bell will be on the pole today. The reconfigured, I think it was about 3 times it's been reconfigured, right, at Las Vegas? 185.344 miles per hour. It's a regular horsepower track. Be fun to watch. 29.135 seconds to get around. Segments are at lap 80 and 165. It is a 267-lap event. Green flag at 149. Head-to-head with the Packers, of course, on NBC also. So that's a little something to divert attention.
149 here is like 11:49 in Vegas. I mean, the city that never sleeps. Those people are going to have a race go green before noon? That seems really strange, doesn't it?
It really does. But we're catering to NBC and what they say they would rather have. We would like it to start at this time.
Right. When you used to run this race in September, remember, before they put it later in the year? When Brian and I went out there in, was it 2018?
It was 107 degrees.
And you were sitting out in the sun?
Oh, yeah. We looked like sheiks. We had the white things over our head and everything.
Like going to a convenience store. That's beautiful.
Todd.
I'm sorry. I don't know. I don't know where that came from. Well, we're lined up. We'll be lined up and ready to go. And this is going to punch your ticket to the championship race if you win this one. And, of course, I cannot imagine anyone other than one of the 8 drivers that are left. By the way, speaking of the 8 drivers that are left, it's not the same 8 drivers that were announced after last week's race at the Roval after Kyle Larson really stunk up the show. You took a really nice racetrack, you turned it into a road course. They have really nice oval track races at this place, but no, you're going to have a road course and one guy is going to lead all the laps and stink it right up. It did have good TV ratings though, so that's something. But Kyle Larson wins the race, and they announce your all the cars that are moving on. Of course, even when they say that, there's a little asterisk at the end that says pending results of post-race inspection. And unfortunately for the 48 car, oh, poor Alex Bowman, the showman. He's going to be showing it somewhere else because he's not in the final 8, and he's replaced with Joey Logano. Now, is it me, or do I think that Logano suddenly is going to be the guy all of a sudden? Well, up to a point, I guess. There's certainly motivation for him and for that team. And were we surprised? I mean, you got to think about this. It was Hendrick. Are you kidding me? And they didn't appeal it? Doesn't Hendrick win all of these guys? I think...
Maybe they were gun shy a little bit after the whole contract, got to sign it thing.
I don't trying to remember the last time I saw a light at the scales episode in NASCAR. I mean, we see it in short track racing. I don't want to say all the time, but we see it often enough, between asphalt super lates. And I mean, the biggest one to mind, especially given that Scott just passed not long ago, was the Scott Bloomquist thing at the Dream when he's, no green light at the scale thing. But in NASCAR, you scale these things before you go out, before you put it on the grid. What fell off and what happened. We still haven't heard.
And it happened, right?
Something fell off, but they say they give them 17 pounds of leniency. Well, if a 17-pound object comes flying off that race car, there's going to be a caution, right? That's going to be debris. We didn't see that. So I guess I'm just puzzled as to what it was and why we never got an explanation as to actually what caused him to be light. Because they said after he was light, they let him fuel the car all the way up, and they let him put water in the car all the way up. So I don't know where you lose 17 pounds.
Maybe it was in the radio. Was that Waltrip that time? Had the 17-pound
radio? The lead radio?
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Yeah, just very strange. It's a very strange set of circumstances. And yes, the last guy you want to give a second chance to, I believe, is Joey Logano, because if there's a closer out there, it's him. And it's like, oh, boy.
Yeah, no kidding. And talk about extra motivation, just what he needs, extra motivation. They apparently, I mean, it turns out that NASCAR bent over backwards for this car. They just waited for the pressures and weights, and we filled everything up we could fill up, and water and gas, and we just were wonderful. They even took the car back to the R&D center in Charlotte, and well, it didn't work out so much this time. So Joey Logano, is he the guy suddenly? I hope. Well, he's in a Ford, and Fords, I'd like to say they're kind of rare in this outfit. But and by the way, speaking of Fords that are in it for the final 8, one of them had a bad practice, and Ryan Blaney crashed bad. Did any of you watch that practice? I mean, what was it? Did a failed piece or a tire blow, or what happened?
Rear tire blew. I mean, he spun and hit the wall driver's side first up against the fence. Pretty solid hit. I think he felt it, and definitely the car felt it, because they're going to a backup car, and they were working all day on that, even during the Xfinity race, to get that other car ready.
That's going to put him, in a bind. Think about that too. Now he's going to have to start last. He gets the worst pit selection. For a guy in the playoffs here, where there really is not a lot of margin for error, because if you look at the 8 cars that are in it, all 8 of them are outstanding cars. Now you're way behind the 8 ball. You really got to dig hard here to try to get something.
Remember,
make
2
something
years
out
ago,
of the day.
Kyle Busch spinning in practice, and he almost won the race.
Yeah.
Go to a backup car, and they worked on that car all night, and he just came like inches of winning the thing. He was running down the leader at the end of the race.
Kurt Busch, his career kind of ended with being in a crash at this car, if I remember right. It was Pocono. And he's never been right. And these cars, as much as they've been heralded as the next greatest thing for NASCAR by some, it comes out that Kurt Busch said that those cars didn't have enough to take all that stress off the driver. And from indications here, Ryan Blaney hit the wall pretty hard, and I think he might have got his bell rung a little bit. And so, who knows? Is this one of those things where he'll have a subpar performance, and then later on, because if I remember right, when Kurt Busch crashed, they didn't really talk too much about his injury until, the performance started suffering, and they said, yeah, he did have a pretty hard hit back there, and maybe that's why things aren't the same. And he was done. That ended his career, so we got to watch close. We're glad you tuned in. We got lots more to talk about when we come back.
As a growing manufacturing company, we needed security solutions. We chose Bonafide because of the services they offer, pricing, and trusted reputation. But it's their outstanding service and support that convinced us we made the right choice with Bonafide.
When businesses need security, they contact Bonafide Security Solutions. From locks and alarms to safes and surveillance, we do it all. We are Bonafide. We protect what you value. For your free security survey, call us today or visit bonafidesafe.com.
Fall has arrived, but there's still time to get your landscaping complete before the snow flies. And PMF Landscape Supply in West Bend has everything you need with fresh mulch arriving daily. From premium hardwood mulch to hemlock and pine bark to EnviroMulch in red, gold, chocolate brown, and black colors. PMF also has a large variety of decorative stone and granite, as well as field stone, topsoil, and compost. For all your landscaping needs, visit PMF Landscape Supply, 5470 River Road in West Bend. Call 262-338-8800 or visit pmflandscape.com. Friends of racing for many years. PMF Landscape Supply in West Bend.
The checkered flag is waved over the racing season at the Fair Park in Plymouth. Congratulations to the champions, Brad Miller, Will Source, Travis Schmidt, and Ben Schmidt. Plymouth Dirt Track Racing thanks all the drivers and pit crews for their ongoing dedication. The loyal, dedicated track workers are the best at what they do every week. A big thank you also to the many businesses for their sponsorships, and of course the fans who make it all possible. The green flag will wave for another season next spring. We'll see you there.
Ryan Radke here from Sunday Night Football on Westwood One. Join Ross Tucker and me for Week 7 primetime action when Aaron Rodgers and the New York Jets travel to Pittsburgh to take on Mike Tomlin's Steelers. The Jets are coming off another close loss on Monday night. Can they get over the hump against T.J. Watt and the 4-2 Steelers? Join us to find out. Jets and the Steelers on Sunday Night Football.
Coverage starts at 6:30 on Milwaukee's home for the NFL. 97.3 The Game.
Packer reunion team, the Jets. You aren't kidding me. Well, it's been an interesting week in the world of NASCAR and the courts. NASCAR had to come back and answer the lawsuit this week, and it's interesting that they act as though what they want to do is reward the teams that actually heeded the threat of, if you don't sign, you could lose your charter. And NASCAR announced that all the prize money that would have been into 36 charters is now going to be into 32 charters. That just doesn't add up to me. One was going to go to the 2311 team, and one was going to go to Front Row, and there were still two more out there. But the other two, one of them was going to stay. Let me get this right now. Haas Factory Team was going to keep one, and they were going to sell one probably to the highest bidder between, was it Colleague and Roush Fenway? Dan?
I think, well, the 4 Stewart Haas charters, they kept one. There's 3 out there. One went to Trackhouse, one's going to go to 2311, and one's going to go to Front Row. Now, those 32 charters that they're planning for include those Stewart Haas ones. The 4 that they're not planning for are the 23, the 45, the 34, and the 38. The 4 that, each 2311's got 2, Front Row's got 2 already. Those are the ones that they're planning on either revoking or not having, or
that makes sense. Yeah. Oh, and so what they're going to do is, reward the people that didn't get in on the lawsuit. So, listen, I'm not a lawyer. I don't play one on television or radio, but it seems to me that NASCAR is the king of the hill here. It's their game. If you want to come into our sport, and it's our sport, it's not all of our sport. We own this thing. We only do as much for you as we want. And if we don't want, we don't have to, because it's not a private. I mean, it's private and it's not publicly traded. It used to be, but it's not anymore. But NASCAR makes the rules, and if you don't want to follow, it seems like they're the ones that came out and said, "Yeah, okay, we'll let you have your little driver council, and we'll listen to what you have to say, and we'll show that we have good faith bargaining to come with you." But when push comes to shove, you have to remember, we are the ones that make the rules here, and if you don't want to race with us, you don't have to. Am I wrong here, guys and girls?
That's definitely what it sounds like, and I don't like it. I mean, I don't like it at all because it's like NASCAR's playing a game of chicken, and the people in NASCAR that don't have a history of motorsports and haven't seen what's happened in the past. I mean, if you look at NASCAR's history here, the drivers are getting paid less than they did 10 years ago. I mean, where else in the world are the people getting paid less than they are 10 years ago in this environment? That's not possible. So that should be the first sign that your product is down a little bit. Your TV package is less than what it was the last time. What does that tell you about your product? It's going down a little bit. Your attendance in the mid 2000s and late 2000s. I mean, there's 170,000 people at Michigan. Now you're lucky if you get 50. That should be another red flag. I mean, all these red flags, they just refuse to acknowledge them. And that's what the drivers are saying. They're saying you are continuing to spend the same amount of money that you always had, if not more, on these special projects, but you're giving us less. So, I mean, I know it's their book, but what do you want? Do you want to be down to like a 20-car, a race with 20 cars in it? We don't want that. We want full fields. And I don't understand their inability to even think about what's going on here. They're so stubborn that I think in the end it's going to bite them in the butt, and that would be that's not what any of us want to see.
So you think there is a basis to the lawsuit, or do you think that their arrogance is just going to cost the sport in general?
Well, I don't know law, so I don't know how that will work in the court of law, but I'm just going by this is where the owners are thinking, and you can see it. If you look at it, it makes perfect sense as to what they're upset about. And then you have NASCAR side of it where this is our game, we can play the way you want. But do you really want to do that these days?
I think they're saying is it their their responsibility is to provide the platform or for them to go racing, and if it's not up, is it their responsibility to make money for the teams or is it part of the teams to go get sponsored? And then they're going to come back and say, well, we changed the car, we changed these parts, we tried to save you money all these different ways, and you keep spending more on research.
But are they really? That's the question.
That's a big question. And their side of it is going to say, hey, we provide the race and we provide the series for you to race in and be successful that way.
At the end of the day,
go ahead,
the court
PJ.
of public opinion is probably what's going to end up coming down to things for everybody.
Yeah, and the sponsorship thing too. I mean, we've talked about it in the past too, where NASCAR has basically taken some sponsors away from the teams to use as theirs. Every one of the 3 corporate or 4 corporate sponsors they've have on their as their corporate partners were all on teams back in the day. Some of them still are, but
they're losing Geico too, by the way.
Yeah, and they just they take them off the teams, and it's just I think it's just gotten to a tipping point now, and you have an owner in there who has seen how other things operate, and he's not one of the good old boy owners. The good old boy owners, they all just signed it because they don't, I'm not saying they don't know better, but they haven't been involved in other sports. You have a team that was involved in other sports and say, hey, if you want this to be a mainstream sport, this is what you got to do. And they don't want to do it because they still want to be in the olden days. And I don't know if that's going to work.
Well, Dan, you had a great point, too, about NASCAR is not built the same way other sports are.
No, they're not a sports league. Yeah, they're not a sports league. And like the NFL, each franchise has a stake in the ownership of that. And that's not the way it is here. Every team is an independent contractor. They're not part of the ownership thing. And that's, I think, where Jordan doesn't understand that this isn't a sports league. You're trying to make it like one, and maybe that's part of this deal is to make that change. And who knows where that's going to go. That could be good, that could be bad. Yeah. This injunction that's going on out they filed, looks like the hearing is going to be right around Phoenix weekend. We'll get a decision. Either they're going to let them keep those chartered or they'll let NASCAR revoke them. Can you imagine if Denny Hamlin wins this championship and Steve Phelps has to give him the trophy there on stage? I mean, they say they're going to do it. They asked that question this week, and they both said, well, we would do that. But holy cow, talk about awkward.
And it's going to be Hamlin's soapbox too, instantly while he's standing there, with Phelps standing next to him, shaking his hand. He's going to pull their pants down, and everybody knows it.
And as being a kind of a member of the media, and as the Drew Olson, one of our cohorts on iHeart, always says, media begins with me. There's a part of me that wants to see Hamlin and Tyler Reddick both in the Final Four, so that when that media day is going on, the questions are flying. And Hamlin is not going to pull any punches. I mean, a couple years ago when Hamlin was in the Final Four and they talked about wrecking people, he didn't pull no punches either. So as much as a lot of people hate Denny Hamlin, if he can get himself into that Final Four, he's gonna create a lot of attention about that. And
that's a big if, though, because he gets really emotional behind the wheel and sometimes steps on his.
Oh, right. Oh, yeah. He's got a history of it. All 4 of us will be at that press conference, and if none of those other sissy asses ask the right questions, well, we will. We promise. We'll be back.
Miller Sales and Service of Random Lake is where to go for a trailer, no matter what you're hauling. Tom and Jerry Miller have been selling trailers from B&B, Trophy, and Bravo for over 50 years. Quality and integrity is what put them on the map on the corner of 57 and K since 1939. Home of the number 89 dirt and asphalt cars of Brad Miller. That's Miller Sales and Service. It's where to go for a trailer, just 20 minutes north of Milwaukee. Call them 920-994-4358.
From racing engines to street engines, long blocks to turnkey packages, or complete custom engines, just ask and Wagner Automotive can fill your needs. All backed by many years of racing experience. These years of experience have provided reliability and performance that customers need to win races. Wagner's has been building championship-winning engines for top teams from NASCAR to short tracks in your backyard. This expertise has carried over to street engines they supply to top custom car builders. The Wagner Company, in the heart of Wisconsin, is outfitted with the state-of-the-art machinery necessary to design, manufacture, build, and test custom engines and their accessory parts. Dyno services are independently available for anyone needed to test their engine. Wagner's Company can also provide you or your company with production CNC machining or welding services. All your questions and requests are handled personally by Casey Wagner. Just give us a call at 920-394-3557 or visit our website at WagnerAutomotive.com.
Touchdown, Green Bay Packers! The new episode of the Larrabee and LePay podcast is available now. Wayne and Matt talk with writer John Roach about his documentary on the Howard Moore family tragedy called A Road at Night. Catch this and every episode of the Larrabee and LePay podcast available anytime on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen to podcasts. Presented by UW Credit Union. Here for every you.
Speaking of that whole podcast thing, do not forget the LTN podcast available on iHeart, iTunes, or wherever you download your podcasts. And the same goes for Racing Nuggets, only I think it's so much better because you get to look at PJ, and she gets to talk to some pretty interesting people. And the latest one.
I have not done one for a while for multiple reasons, but I'm working on getting Father Gruba on.
Oh, my. He's much more of a character than you would think a retired priest would be.
Right? Yeah.
Yes. Good stuff. Hey, this has been really weird. You hear some things, stuff that you're sure happens, but never is talked about. And this week, we had, speaking of pants getting pulled down on some people for doing things, how about an unnamed engineer from Joe Gibbs Racing, who apparently has been told that at the end of the season, he's no longer going to be employed by Joe Gibbs Racing. So he's out looking for another job. And now how would you do that? What would you do to get yourself a job with another team? How about, hey, you want to be a little faster than you have been? I have some notes I'm willing to share if you hire me next year. I don't know. What do you got? Well, why don't you try and do this? And then, well, before you can actually think about something like that happening, you have to look at what team may have been doing kind of half-assed and suddenly is not just half fast, but half. The other half is suddenly coming in. Dan, there's a team out there that's waving a flag. It's us. Who would it be?
Well, this whole situation, I mean, Jennifer Fryer's one that kind of broke this and said this was going on, and nobody's made a complaint, so nothing's really been official there. And people are looking at, what team got way better after the Olympic break. Right around Richmond time. You look at that. I mean, the RCR cars suddenly got really good. Now that they're part of this or not, nobody really knows. And that's the way that I mean, the way everything kind of shakes out just from reading everybody's reports and scouring around online, you can take that for what it's worth, is that there's somebody that either was in a contract year or either told he wasn't coming back or wasn't sure he was coming back and was out shopping things around to places, and somebody might have bid on that. Now, some of that stuff is proprietary. You can't, when you work there, you're not supposed to take that to other teams, and especially if you're still working there. Do you remember back when, was it Michael Waltrip Racing? Somebody swiped the part off, was it a sway bar off the Roush cart, and tried to have it made by the company, and they said, well, hey, how did you get this? Because only this team can have this. Oh. It's been going on a lot in the past,
Yeah, it's so interesting. So, I mean, Childress's team was not specifically named in this whole rumor. We're kind of just doing some deductions, right?
Not just everybody's, a lot of speculation. You can look at that and see exactly where, and people have messed with teams in the past a lot all the time. Remember Kyle Petty and the Shocks with Alan Kawicki?
Yeah.
At Rockingham, Alan was snooping in his car.
6'2",
Yeah. 6'2", on the shock. So Alan was at the truck looking for the 6'2", shocks that Kyle had. Well, it was Kyle's birth date, and they didn't have those kind of shocks. It was just nothing special about it. Where did you get
that number? I don't know. And it was a trap, and Kawicki fell right into the trap. I want some of those 6'2", Yeah. Oh, those. And then immediately they told Kyle Petty. Remember, Kyle and Alan were extremely good friends, too. But I think that probably led to it right there. Hey, what are you doing, you sneaky little... Well, anyway, it's not like Childress got all that good. They just got a little better than they were, Dan. They didn't suddenly set the world on fire or anything. I mean, my guy, Kyle Busch, still hasn't won a damn race.
Yeah, he finished second, though. All those races, really. And the 3-car actually won Richmond. Remember, they took it away from him because he boogered... who did he smack out of the way?
Yeah, they didn't take the win away from him. They took the playoff spot away from him, is what they did.
He pushed Joey out of the way.
So Joey's got two mulligans this time around, hey?
Isn't that interesting? At any time during the program, if folks want to, weigh in with any of the coloring book items that we come up with over here, you can call us at 414-421-7901 and participate. But there's these there's things that just keep happening. How about this? And I think it's kind of a mystery. The guy that was the president of CW, his name was Dennis Miller. No, not that Dennis Miller, a different one, not the conservative comedian that was a Monday Night Football host for a while. This is the guy that ran the network and was behind NASCAR coming to CW. He also got Live Golf and big shows from WWE. And now, mysteriously enough, the guy's out. He's not there anymore. What is that about? And he also brought in some major sponsors that followed, as you might imagine, when you get big names like Live Golf and NASCAR and WWE, these things are going to attract. And suddenly, the CW is a lot more financially solvent than it was. Well, doesn't that seem like an odd time to step back? Was he fired or did he quit?
He's actually stepping away. They're keeping him on as a consultant through the end of the year, and his contract was supposed to go through 2027. So I think that he is driving his own bus on this one. So he must have another offer somewhere that was more lucrative. Because people in media are not very loyal.
They say that, but really, can that possibly be true?
Yeah, people in media are all about the Benjamins.
Well, and let's face it, it's how the world works. We tend to follow the dollar signs, but why would a guy spend all that energy and time and putting it all together and then take a step back unless he got some beautiful buyout? Why don't you just hang around and advise us, and we'll see if we can keep the bus on the road here when it's all over. Who knows? Another mysterious thing from the world of media. Try to figure it out. All we talk about is what happens, not why it happens, because God knows it's out of our pay grade to learn stuff like that. We're very glad you tuned in to LTN today. Christopher Bell will start on the pole at Las Vegas. It gets underway at 1:49 Milwaukee time. It's on Channel 4 in Milwaukee, 15 in Madison, and we'll be back right after these.
As a growing manufacturing company, we needed security solutions. We chose Bonafide because of the services they offer, pricing, and trusted reputation. But it's their outstanding service and support that convinced us we made the right choice with Bonafide.
When businesses need security, they contact Bonafide Security Solutions. From locks and alarms to safes and surveillance, we do it all. We are Bonafide. We protect what you value. For your free security survey, call us today or visit bonafidesafe.com.
Miller Sales and Service of Random Lake is where to go for a trailer, no matter what you're hauling. Tom and Jerry Miller have been selling trailers from B&B, Trophy, and Bravo for over 50 years. Quality and integrity is what put them on the map on the corner of 57 and K since 1939. Home of the number 89 dirt and asphalt cars of Brad Miller. That's Miller Sales and Service. It's where to go for a trailer, just 20 minutes north of Milwaukee. Call them 920-994-4358.
Fall has arrived, but there's still time to get your landscaping complete before the snow flies. And PMF Landscape Supply in West Bend has everything you need with fresh mulch arriving daily. From premium hardwood mulch to hemlock and pine bark to EnviroMulch in red, gold, chocolate brown, and black colors. PMF also has a large variety of decorative stone and granite, as well as field stone, topsoil, and compost. For all your landscaping needs, visit PMF Landscape Supply, 5470 River Road in West Bend. Call 262-338-8800 or visit pmflandscape.com. Friends of racing for many years. PMF Landscape Supply in West Bend.
After winning 3 straight games, the Milwaukee Admirals are back on the road to take on the Iowa Wild in Des Moines. Left point, Gravel. Wrist shot tipped in front. Cabesso score! Zach LaRue! Pre-game coverage Wednesday starts at 6:30. Face-off at 7 on the Big 920 and your iHeartRadio app.
Welcome back to LTN. You know, we talk when we're talking about short track racers. It's usually guys that have made a name in Wisconsin, whether they're racing here now, they raced here at one time, or made a name here. And the name Bobby Gill, you may not know from around the state of Wisconsin. Matter of fact, I don't really know if he ever really raced here, but he was a big deal on the short tracks over the years. And Bobby Gill passed away of brain cancer this week. There were a lot of folks that knew it was coming. Joining us on the program, our old friend Scott Hansen, who raced against Bobby Gill many, many years and considered him a good friend. And this has got to be kind of a bad time for you, huh?
We just, good morning, everyone. We went to Florida about a month ago to run that race at the Freedom Factory, and it was actually a charity race for Bobby. And when I worked with Richie there, and we ended up winning the race, and Bobby Gill texted me and said to make sure and congratulate Johnny for it, and that was the last words, but not, that I've had with Bobby.
When you say Richie, Richie Waters was the crew chief, and Johnny Sauter won the race down there. That Freedom Factory is, was it the old Bradenton Speedway or something like that?
Yeah, that's where they're going to have the Billy Bigley Memorial race here, Thanksgiving, right after Thanksgiving. Big race, pays quite a bit to run it, and hopefully it's still there.
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah, after all the rain and whatnot. Bobby Gill, I mean, you raced against him and you raced hard against him, but you did consider him one of your best friends, didn't you?
I raced very hard with Bobby. I worked side by side with Bobby, and I drank a lot of beer with Bobby. So yeah, he was a great guy to be around. He was very old school, very down to the matter type of guy. You race me clean, I'll race you clean. You want to mess with me, you're going to lose.
What is your best Bobby Gill story?
Yeah, give us a good one.
Well, the one I brought to mention earlier is when, again, I don't know if he or Rich Bickle, who actually won the race, but Richie run into Bobby after the race, and we're
talking about the Snowball Derby here, right?
Oh yeah. Yep. And then I went up and run into the back of Richie saying I didn't think that was the greatest move. But, there's so many of them. The best ones are when he finished behind me, is all I can tell you there. So, and that wasn't that often when you ran that All-Pro Series. There were some very tough customers down there.
Did Bobby race in Wisconsin? I as a kid, I thought maybe he ran at the mile a couple times during that. Didn't they have the old stock car connection when the All-Pro Series and stuff? Do you remember? Did he get to race at the mile a couple times?
He ran a couple of ASA races for Jim Daly out of Minnesota, and he actually came to Minnesota and cleaned our clocks horribly one year at the Minnesota State Fair. I do believe he came to Milwaukee, and again, I think he finished behind me, so it was a great race.
Okay. Yeah.
Just about everybody finished behind you at the mile back then.
Yeah, speaking of which, I don't mind mentioning your 5 wins at the Milwaukee Mile, one of the greatest stock car racers ever to take a lap at the Milwaukee Mile, and it finally happened that you got voted into the Wisconsin Short Track Hall of Fame and will be inducted a week from Saturday. That's November 2nd, along with some pretty good names there. Jimmy Fennig and Nate Hosley and Matt Kenseth and Pat Schauer. What a class it is. This is the first time we've talked to you on air since you've been elected, and congratulations, man. Long time overdue.
Well, thanks, and no thanks to you that it all took place. I know your voice was heard many ways. In fact, I'm staring at a pack of 3x5 empty cards here that someone told me I should fill out to give my 3 words in of thank you, folks. See you next year.
That's funny. Now it's been a spectacular career, Scott, and I'm glad to see you finally get into the Hall of Fame. You won races from, if I'm remembering right, from Pikes Peak up to either Canada or upstate New York. I mean, you've won them all over the damn place.
And I didn't do it alone. It takes many people, many different teams, a lot of success that way. Back to Bobby. Richie Waters is going to keep Bobby Gill on the hood of his car for the last 2 or 3 races this year. So, yeah, I don't know if they're still doing some kind of charity for the family or not, but I just thought
a lot of times they get stuck with bills,
Oh yeah, and I just think it's really great of Richie to carry his photo on the hood of his car.
Yeah, Rich Waters is a special guy for sure. Hey, Scott Hansen, thanks for being on the program and giving us your memories of a good friend and a great race car driver in Bobby Gill.
Yep, thank you guys, and thanks for the show. Good time.
All right, buddy. Yeah, talk to you later. Yeah, that's a bad day in the sport all the way around. And by the way, he mentioned racing hard and having issues with Rich Bickle on the racetrack. A lot of people have had troubles with Rich Bickle, but I'll tell you one thing: Bobby Gill and Rich Bickle were also very, very good friends to the end, and it hit a lot of folks hard that raced down south back in those days. And
Bobby Gill had some Craftsman Truck Series starts. I mean, he ran a couple races for that. I think he had a top 10 finish in Milwaukee in one of the races as well. So, I mean, they had the same kind of career. Those guys were all, tearing up on the short tracks, and then they had a little bit of a NASCAR career to go with it. So I can see why they all kind of got along. They're all kind of built from the same cloth,
Interesting stuff, isn't it? Yeah. A person that I was not exactly in that, to me anyway, into that class yet, is a young lady that not only got fired for her ineffectiveness in driving a stock car for a long time, Haley Deegan. Now she's bringing her mediocrity to IndyCar. She's going to be in the Indy Next series. Now, I don't want to be too disrespectful, but the proof's in the pudding, and if you're going to do something, you're going to win races. You might have won a dirt track race 10 years ago, but you really have to start doing something, or they'll call you another Danica Patrick. And that she had a pretty successful career of representing sponsors, and that's pretty much it. She didn't win a hell of a lot of races, but Haley Deegan seems to be a survivor because of her social media presence. Am I wrong about that?
No, not really. I mean, she puts herself out there, but we foreshadowed about this, I think, back in August. I think when we had Levi Jones in the program, who was at that time the director of the Indian X Series, now moved on, is running Eldora Speedway, and talked about the possibility. And he didn't say yes, he didn't say no, but we kind of thought that this might be something coming because I believe back in July she was hanging out with some of the teams down there. I think this is a good move for her. This will help the Indian X Series get some eyeballs on it for sure. I mean, a lot of people now will recognize the names. And the ladies have had some success there. The Chadwick girl won the race up at Road America back in June. So there is some success there. The team she's with, I'd have to do a little research to see. She's not with an Andretti Autosport team, which is like the top-notch group in that series. She's with I think it's CDW team. And I don't know if they have an affiliation with Dale Coyne Racing or not, but I've seen those cars out there. So, she'll get some practice. She'll test a little bit, and we'll get to see her at Road America in Milwaukee next year. And I think that's pretty exciting, and that'll bring some excitement to that race.
Some eyeballs, you bet.
Yes,
that's what it's all about. And this is her start. Maybe she'll turn out to be a pretty good open wheel racer. We'll get to find out. We'll be back.
From racing engines to street engines, long blocks to turnkey packages, or complete custom engines, just ask and Wagner Automotive can fill your needs. All backed by many years of racing experience. These years of experience have provided reliability and performance that customers need to win races. Wagner's has been building championship-winning engines for top teams from NASCAR to short tracks in your backyard. This expertise has carried over to street engines they supply to top custom car builders. The Wagner Company, in the heart of Wisconsin, is outfitted with the state-of-the-art machinery necessary to design, manufacture, build, and test custom engines and their accessory parts. Dyno services are independently available for anyone needed to test their engine. Wagner's Company can also provide you or your company with production CNC machining or welding services. All your questions and requests are handled personally by Casey Wagner. Just give us a call at 920-394-3557 or visit our website at wagnerautomotive.com.
The checkered flag is waved over the racing season at the Fair Park in Plymouth. Congratulations to the champions, Brad Miller, Will Source, Travis Schmidt, and Ben Schmidt. Plymouth Dirt Track Racing thanks all the drivers and pit crews for their ongoing dedication. The loyal, dedicated track workers are the best at what they do every week. A big thank you also to the many businesses for their sponsorships, and of course the fans who make it all possible. The green flag will wave for another season next spring. We'll see you there.
Miller Sales and Service of Random Lake is where to go for a trailer, no matter what you're hauling. Tom and Jerry Miller have been selling trailers from B&B, Trophy, and Bravo for over 50 years. Quality and integrity is what put them on the map on the corner of 57 and K since 1939. Home of the number 89 dirt and asphalt cars of Brad Miller. That's Miller Sales and Service. It's where to go for a trailer, just 20 minutes north of Milwaukee. Call them 920-994-4358.
Snap to Love. Waits. Still looking. Throws right side over the shoulder. Gatorade. Touchdown. Green Bay Packers.
Sunday, the Packers host the Texans at Lambeau. Kickoff at noon on 97.3 The King.
And now the LTN Hour presents Dirt on the Dirt with Brian Schmidt.
Well, the dirt track racing season has ended in the state of Wisconsin. There's still plenty of racing in the surrounding states here, as we still have some beautiful weather in October. We'll start Thursday all the way out in Tulare, California, though. Thunderbolt Raceway, night number 1 of the Trophy Cup for the 360 Win sprint cars there. I think they had like 57 sprint cars show up for that. A huge turnout. Justin Peck, a regular on the High Limit Series, hopped in a 360 and won the night number 1 feature. Friday night, Maquoketa, Iowa, the Iowa Dirt Nationals for the IMCA cars and the IMCA Modifieds. Drew Jansen was your winner, and the IMCA Stock cars. Beaver Dam's Brandon Schmidt went to Iowa and took some of their money. It's always a good thing when you take money from another state. And picked up the win there. Lincoln, Illinois, the UMP Fall Nationals, night number 1 for the UMP late models. Ryan Unsicker won the feature, and the modifieds was Ryan Hamilton. Down in Joliet, Illinois, the Dirt Oval at Route 66. They haven't seen racing on that track in many years, actually. I think it's 3 years, I heard. But they opened it back up. Steve Sinclair's group put on the World of Outlaw NOS Engineering Sprint Car Series there. 12,000 to win Friday night. Aaron Reitzel was your winner. Bill Baylog finished 9th in that feature. And the wingless sprints were also a part of the program. Jimmy Sivia won the Friday night portion. Down in West Memphis, Arkansas, the Riverside International Speedway, the World Short Track Challenge for the ASCS 360 Sprints. Night number 1 feature winner there was Derek Hagar. Tulare, California, night number 2 of the Trophy Cup for the 360 Sprints. Corey Eliason was your winner. And in Georgetown, Delaware, Friday night, $12,000 to win for the Big Block Modifieds. Anthony Perego grabbed the win there. Last night in Ogilvie, Minnesota, the Wissota Topless Nationals, their final big event of the season. For the Wissota Late Models, Pat Dorr was your winner, and in the Wissota Modifieds was Clayton Wagaman. Maquoketa, Iowa, night number 2 of the Iowa Dirt Nationals. In the IMCA Modifieds, Brandon Schmidt won that feature. So you won a feature in both classes this weekend in Iowa. That's always a very good trip there. And in the IMCA Stock Cars was Dallin Murdy. Lincoln, Illinois, the UMP Fall Nationals and the UMP Late Models. Jason Fager won the night number 2 feature. And in the Modifieds, Kenny Wallace picked up the win there last night. I made the trip down to... He did? Oh, that's good. I made the trip down to Joliet, Illinois last night for the night number 2 of the Federated Auto Parts Route 66 Showdown for the World of Outlaw Sprint Cars. Great crowd down there last night. Beautiful weather. $12,000 to win for the World of Outlaw Sprint Cars. Buddy Kofoid grabbed the win. And in the IRA Wingless Sprints, it was Adam Taylor. Clearmont, Indiana. This is on the pavement, but it's still a dirt car series. The Lucas Oil Raceway Park for the Silver Crown Series for USAC. Cody Swanson was your winner, and the 500 sprint car feature winner was Tyler Rohrig. Final night in West Memphis, Arkansas for the World Short Track Challenge for the ASCS 360 Sprints. Derek Hagar clean swept it. Final night of the Trophy Cup in Tulare, California at the Thunderbowl Raceway for the 360 Sprints. Trey Starks was your winner. And the big money race of the weekend was in Rossburg, Ohio, the Eldora Speedway for the Lucas Oil Late Model Dirt Series, the 44th Annual Dirt Track World Championships. $100,000 to win that feature event, and Bobby Pierce continued his dominating season. And the other big prize, $200,000 to win the 2024 Lucas Oil Late Model Dirt Series Championship. And Ricky Thornton Jr., who had such a dominating season last year, but they had a different format last year where the winner of the last race, kind of like NASCAR, won it. This year they didn't do that. They kind of used the final 4 races, and Ricky finished second last night to pick up his first Lucas Oil Championship. So well-deserved for him.
Nice payday, huh?
Yeah, and they announced...
next year.
Yeah, next year it's going to be $250,000 to win the title.
And if you finish 5th in points next year, you're going to win $100,000.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah, the money in the Lucas Oil Series is unbelievable. Their schedule was released as well, and we'll talk about schedules once we get to December and the dirt season is over. But they have several $75,000 to win series races next year, and so it's kind of like what happens with the Lucas Oil Series and the World of Outlaws. You know, Lucas Oil served it. And now the Outlaws, who don't have their schedule released yet, will probably have to tweak theirs and make it kind of equal. Will serve back. So the money in dirt late model racing is just amazing right now.
And maybe they'll collaborate and write a book so that Asphalt can actually learn how to do something like that.
You would think. They're only about 10 years behind, it seems, money-wise.
Anyway, on to the Asphalt results. Last Sunday, the Winchester 400 was run over at Winchester Speedway. ASA Stars National Tour, Cole Butcher picking up the win. Ty Majeski had a very dominating run, ended up P2. Austin Nason was also there. P8
what happened?
For him. For Nason or Majeski?
Majeski.
With the G-force that you have there, one of the plug wires ended up getting pushed onto the headers, and it got melted through. Every time they'd tape it up, it would get melted through again. So he was down.
On 7 cylinders, huh?
Correct.
Very nice.
Yeah. Grundy also had the 33rd Annual Bahama Bracket Nationals since Rockford was no longer doing that. The A bracket went to Dave Edwards, the AA bracket, Daniel Calhoun, AAA bracket, Joe Osterman, the B bracket, Ryan Lagasty, and the double B bracket also to Ryan Lagasty. This past Friday, the Cars West Tour was out at the Las Vegas Bull Ring. In the pro late models, it was a 100-lapper. Parker Malone was the winner, but Derek Thorne was second. Super late models, the winner was Cole Raz. Derek Thorne was P2. Jeremy Doss, P3. Kevin Harvick, P4. And then last night, the Halloween at Dells Raceway Park, Midwest Dash Series, Blake Nottestead, dominating run for him. Champion was Phil Maloof, and Dennis Prunty picking up the win and the championship for the 602s. Luke Fenhouse winning a slobber knocker of a super late model race.
The first half was good.
Yeah. And then Gabe Summers was your champion for that Alive for 5 series. More on that in a bit with Dan, who was one of the camera folks. Final results yet here then from the Cars ZMAX Tour North Wilkesboro. Caden Honeycutt was the Pro Late Model winner. Caden Quapple was 11th. And Connor Jones won the late model stock car race there. And Carson Quapple was P2 after setting fast time. But back to the Halloween. Dan, you were on the camera there. You have any thoughts on anything?
Luke Fenhouse really, he withstood all of those restarts, Dan.
Right, yeah. I mean, he held off a lot of challenges. The action was behind him for the championship at the Live for 5 series between Gabe Summers and Ty Fredrickson. They were racing very hard for several laps, got together out of turn 4 and down the front straightaway, put both cars into the pits, and then the Summers crew got his car back out to complete enough laps to just barely win the points. Apparently that's been brewing for a while, and that's a big storm this week as far as...
Your video is out there. People can find it on Facebook.
Yes, I'm from Pit Road TV. I worked the camera for Pit Road TV, and it was my camera that caught it, so it's been
nicely
out there.
done. I think it should be noted, though, that Casey Johnson went into this weekend leading the points for the Live for 5. Yeah. And I think he's got the brain image. Yeah, I think that he's been having a few more episodes with that injury that he had, and he was not able to even start the race.
Yeah, he had an engine issue because I talked to him and he felt great, so I don't think that's any issue there. But the Live for 5, by the way, is actually 4 races, and it's what the name of the Dells Championship is. But we'll talk a little bit more when we come back. Hang in there.
Fall has arrived, but there's still time to get your landscaping complete before the snow flies. And PMF Landscape Supply in West Bend has everything you need with fresh mulch arriving daily. From premium hardwood mulch to hemlock and pine bark to EnviroMulch in red, gold, chocolate brown, and black colors. PMF also has a large variety of decorative stone and granite, as well as field stone, topsoil, and compost. For all your landscaping needs, visit PMF Landscape Supply, 5470 River Road in West Bend. Call 262-338-8800 or visit pmflandscape.com. Friends of racing for many years. PMF Landscape Supply in West Bend.
As a growing manufacturing company, we needed security solutions. We chose Bonafide because of the services they offer, pricing, and trusted reputation. But it's their outstanding service and support that convinced us we made the right choice with Bonafide.
When businesses need security, they contact Bonafide Security Solutions. From locks and alarms to safes and surveillance, we do it all. We are Bonafide. We protect what you value. For your free security survey, call us today or visit bonafidesafe.com.
The checkered flag is waved over the racing season at the Fair Park in Plymouth. Congratulations to the champions, Brad Miller, Will Source, Travis Schmidt, and Ben Schmidt. Plymouth Dirt Track Racing thanks all the drivers and pit crews for their ongoing dedication. The loyal, dedicated track workers are the best at what they do every week. A big thank you also to the many businesses for their sponsorships, and of course the fans who make it all possible. The green flag will wave for another season next spring. We'll see you there.
Snap to Love. Waits. Still looking. Throws right side over the shoulder. Gatorade. Touchdown. Green Bay Packers. Got his man leaping end zone. Touchdown. Romeo Doubs. And they embrace him in the right corner of the end zone.
The Packers look to keep rolling Sunday against Houston at Lambeau on your home for Packers football. 97.3 The Game.
We're talking a little bit about the race at the Dells last night, the Halloween 150, a long race. They had a break at halfway, and then it seemed like it kind of went to hell after that. But Ty Fredrickson wasn't going to win the race, but what he was doing was trying to get by Gabe Summers late in the race and got underneath him, but I think he just lost control, it seemed like to me. And now I'm going by memory from watching your recording about 5 times this morning, Dan.
Well, they were racing for the championship. Whoever was going to finish ahead of the other one was going to win the championship. It was that much of a difference. Was for like 3rd place, I think, in the race. And yeah, he did a bump and run move off the corner. I mean, it happens a lot. We've seen it a lot, and a lot of people do that. And Gabe apparently had enough. and
yeah, he hit him pretty hard, and I mean, it wasn't smooth. There's guys that can look not as guilty as young Ty did. Remember, he's a pretty young guy, and he's got his dad in his ear helping motivate him. But yeah, Gabe Summers didn't really seem like he wanted to put up with a lot of that, and turned back into him. And the trouble is, both cars got wrecked, and those damn it, those cars are expensive. And, we can't just race for it. We have to wreck. And that is what the issue is more than anything else, it seems like to me, that we just are not cognizant of how precious the dollars are and the cars are in our super late. If you haven't noticed, super late models are going away. There was only 4 races at the Dells. There was only 7 races at Slinger. It's a dying breed. We have to keep the cars on the track to continue to race them, and we have to make it so you can't be afraid to buy a super late model and put the kind of money into it that takes to win races. And there aren't enough of those. So here's 2 of the best damn cars on the track, and they take each other out in a pissing match. And it's what's wrong with super late model racing nowadays.
I just think it just shows how fine a line it is between hard racing and what's over the line. I mean, it's that. Yep. You can race aggressive, and it's a very fine line. It really is. And
I agree. I
guess I'm glad we have competition up here that guys can toe that line quite a bit, and once in a while you go over it, but.
Yep, that's pretty much what happened. By the way, it was an absolutely spectacular night for racing, just like when Brian went down to Joliet and watched some dirt track racing, and Dan and I were at the Dells. Yeah, PJ, you would have been to the Dells, but you got your...
I got rear-ended at a red light on Friday night.
And that's a new car, too, right?
It's 2 years old.
Oh, I thought you just bought it. Still had the sticker in the window.
No. Oh. Nope. It was a teenage driver, and I saw it in the rearview mirror. I was like 5th in line at a red light and seemed to be closing pretty fast, and I was thinking, what do I do here? And yeah.
Oh, boy.
You would have taken a bump and run, eh?
Yeah.
Yeah. Without taking out another car. Brian mentioned, or one of you did, Kevin Harvick racing in some of these. He's doing more super late model racing, and he just got into bed with he's an agent. That he has an agency, KHI, Kevin Harvick Inc. They represent a very large handful of race car drivers for their contracts, but they got into an agreement with this Rackley War outfit. Now, it's a strange name for a race team, but they're the ones that won at the Milwaukee Mile in the trucks with this Dawson Sutton dude.
That's the owner's kid is Dawson Sutton. It's a roofing company that provide opportunities for folks who might be struggling to get back onto their feet due to some things that maybe didn't go their way earlier in life. I think I said that politically correct.
I think you did too, and it's a noble gesture on their part. Although let's who you got working on my roof here, and I don't want to have to worry about that either. Either way, the deal is that this Rackley War and Harvick's group getting together to provide a super late model and a pro late model for Keelan Harvick and specific races for Kevin Harvick. And I believe this getting together thing is because he's an agent type of thing. He's probably got sponsors that he can bring with him.
Well, yeah, he had Busch Light on his super late at the Vegas race. And obviously it worked out because NASCAR's in Vegas this weekend. Keelan also ran a legend car at the Bullring that same night. He was running pretty good, kind of got a piece of a big accident. But yeah, they do bring. Kevin had his Busch Light sponsor on his car, but I can definitely see the Rackley War thing becoming a bigger player in his efforts.
All right. Last week, by the way, I picked the 8 car. The 5 car to win, but it was the wrong Kyle because I told you I was going to pick the 8 car all the way to the end of the year. And thanks to Dave Schmalzer for pointing out that I picked the wrong Kyle. So I'm taking. Really, thanks. I'm taking Rowdy to win today. Come on, he's got to win one yet this year. That's my pick. I'm sticking to it. Let's see, Dano, who are you taking?
1 car, Ross Chastain.
All right, Brian.
I'm going to take Tyler Reddick. He's going to be the first of the Hamlin cars to lock himself into the Final Four.
And PJ.
I'll take Christopher Bell.
All right. Real race cars have doors, even if they do climb in through the windows. Thanks for tuning in. The LTN Hour is produced and directed by Dangerous Dan Margetta. Our engineer is Matt Losey, and we'll see you next week, everybody.
This program has come to you live from multiple locations via Skype. Any and all comments expressed on this show do not necessarily express the opinions of this station, its employees, or advertisers. Your comments are always welcome at mail@ltnradionetwork.com. Find us at facebook.com/LTN Radio Network. And thank you for your support since 1985. Tune in again next Sunday morning at 10 a.m. Central Time for the LTN Hour on the LTN Radio Network.